right, we are live.
What happened there? I was doing so well, and then all of a sudden, it just switched over.
What'd you do, Bruce?
The music just died. We
Oh.
should have kept it going.
Sorry, man.
That's all right. That's my fault.
I do love that intro, though. We did a good job on that. Did you just, Bruce, the producer, just inform me that we're competing with JRE right now?
Yeah.
We'll see if we can pull some views. All right, well, we're live in studio from Next Edge Studios. With me in studio, I've got Ricci. He is our boxing coach here at Next Edge. We are going to be breaking down the Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury fight that's coming up on Saturday. Everybody's super stoked for. But first, Ian, just get into a little bit of your background here. Obviously, you have a little bit of a background in boxing and striking, and you're obviously the coach here at Next Edge for boxing and striking. So just tell us kind of how you got introduced into the sport and where you've been, and yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, no problem.
I started boxing when I was in the Army.
Look at that name.
Just kind of, it's even spelled right.
Gotcha, Christina.
When I was in the Army, it was kind of in combat arms in an infantry world, they make you box. So did some post tournaments, did well in those, and just kind of stuck with boxing. Once I got out of the service, a mutual friend introduced me to Bruce, and that was, like 11 years ago. Started with Bruce, different instructors here and there through Bruce, competed a little bit in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, competed in some Muay Thai, competed in some MMA, and it's just kind of been a long run, I suppose. It's been great.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. And how long have you been the coach here? One of the coaches.
Kind of started filling in a few years ago, then started up kind of full-time with classes. Our other coach had to take on some other duties for work, so I started filling in a little more and more, and then just things started overlapping, maybe a year, I suppose.
Okay, sweet. Well, yeah, you've taken care of me ever since I've been coming, and, obviously you do a great job with all the folks here. Can't say enough about what you do for the program and all the folks that take the classes and everything, so thanks for what you do. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to give a little bit of the background on the fight. We'll get into some predictions. We'll break down, the fighters that are fighting, and then we'll do a little round of rapid fire at the end there. So
Yeah.
that'll be we'll see where that goes. So the fight, it's this Saturday, December 1st, 2018. It's Deontay Wilder, who is the defending champ. He is 40-0. He's got 39 KOs. He has knocked out every opponent they've put in front of him, because the only person he didn't knock out, they had a rematch, he knocked him out. So dangerous guy. These are big boys, 6'7", 227 pounds with an 83-inch reach. He's the American in this matchup. He's from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and he's fighting Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury's 27-0 with 19 knockouts. He's the lineal heavyweight champ, so he won the championship from Vladimir Klitschko, who was the champ for a decade at least. Bruce, you can probably look that up and correct me if I'm wrong, but 11 years. He was obviously a big underdog going into that fight, shocked the world, won that, and then after that, had some issues and basically got stripped of the title. We're going to get into some of that in a little bit, but he's even bigger, 6'9", 257. He looks even leaner for this fight. He looks in great shape for this fight. He's got an 85-inch reach. He's from Wythenshawe, England, United Kingdom. So that's a little bit about the background of the fight, when it is, who's fighting. Getting right into it, let's break down Wilder. What I want to talk about first is the significance of being an American heavyweight champ in this day and age. We haven't really seen much interest in the heavyweight division in a champion in America, in boxing in general, since probably Tyson and Holyfield. Would you agree?
Easy. It's kind of crazy, because there's been almost periods of boxing when the United States has had like everything, where everything has been revolving around U.S. heavyweight boxing. and then that left, and it's really never come back.
Right.
And this is like a huge chance to
Yeah.
solidify everything, to bring it back here, which is really cool.
Yeah, really cool, and a little bit of, I think, welcomed for Deontay Wilder added pressure.
Yeah.
I think he wants that responsibility. I think he wants to put American heavyweight boxing back on the map, and he wants it to be something that was talked about. I actually saw an interview he did where he was talking to University of Alabama, and he was talking to Nick Saban, the coach there.
Right.
And Saban was saying, when he was a kid in Alabama, they would be crowded around a radio listening to Muhammad Ali fight and George Foreman, and that was the thing. It wasn't baseball and football. It was who's boxing tonight, and it was on the radio. Whole families would gather around a radio and listen. You don't have that nowadays. It's nowhere near what it was.
It's interesting to see how, like, boxing, it's weird. I've heard other podcasts, I've heard other commentators, I've heard other coaches, I've heard a lot of people talk about kickboxing. Muay Thai, you go anywhere else in the world and kickboxing is huge. Kickboxing is everything, but America has always really focused on boxing. For whatever reason. It's great to see two guys stand up and slug it out.
Yeah.
Then you get into the heavyweight division. I mean, those are the kings of the kings.
Absolutely.
Right? And it's just been forever since that's been around.
Yeah.
And to have it back, I mean, it's a big fight this weekend that I think people will be, it'll be a great fight. I don't want to give my predictions yet.
Yeah, don't give anything away. We'll get into that. But definitely significant and some pressure on Deontay to really put America back on the map. Obviously, he is the champ. He's had, I think this will be his 8th title defense. So it's not like, he hasn't been doing everything he can to be a great American champion. It just, in some aspects, he doesn't get the credit that I think he's due.
Right.
He's stepped up. Opponent after opponent has gotten harder and harder and harder for him, with most recently, the Ortiz fight. But breaking it down, so what do you like? We'll get into likes and dislikes, like pros. What do you think Deontay brings to the table? What jumps off the page to you right away when you break down what you see from him?
Immediately, you look at style. I mean, his style is, it's wild. He's wild. His style is crazy, though. Those punches are from every angle.
Yeah.
And
big
he's
punches.
He's throwing everything into just about every punch. I mean, he's breaking down people's guards with hooks, which is crazy to see, especially in that division. I guess, honestly, you could maybe compare it to, like, Chuck Liddell when he was in his heyday, right? Chuck Liddell had this big, wild
brawler
style. Yeah, that was just coming from angles that people just weren't ready for. Traditionally, you cover up in boxing. And those traditional angles are like what's leaving people open.
Yeah.
Because that power is just, and he's so fast, man.
Yeah. It jumps off the page. I think what I wrote down was power, capital letters, exclamation point, power, and just pure athleticism. I think, we'll get into Tyson in a bit. Tyson brings a lot to the table in the way of athleticism for a big guy, but agility and movement as far as how quick Deontay is. He is extremely quick twitch muscle fibers. I mean, he's going to explode on you instantly.
And it's really cool because he's so big. He can cover so much of that ring so fast. Cutting off that ring is something. You start watching some of his fights and breaking it down. He literally cuts that ring in half with one step.
Right.
He is able to break that down corner to corner. He can cut everything down so quick. And the footwork that he's able to maybe eliminate because he can move from one space to another so fast because he's so long is really cool.
Yeah. And I think, a little bit like you're just saying, he uses his range very well. He will get in and throw bombs, but he's mostly going to stay at range and blast you with power punches. And he can play that game because everyone up until this point, which is also what makes this such a great matchup, is so much smaller than him from a standpoint of stature. He's got the reach advantage on pretty much anybody he's faced. He's got the strength advantage, it seems like, on pretty much anybody he's faced.
Which is really crazy. Too, not to switch it to his opponent, but he's always punched down. You know, everybody's been a little bit shorter than him, and Tyson's a little taller than him.
Yeah,
he's going to be punching up instead of down.
Right.
I mean, that's definitely something to take into account.
Right.
Like that accuracy at that level is
like when I was going through this, I was thinking, there's some X factors here, like some
Yeah,
unknown
yeah.
attributes to this fight where you can't say, well, this is what's going to happen and why on every aspect of the fight, because there's some unknowns. Unknown right there. Wilder has not fought somebody bigger than him as far as
Right.
height wise. So, like you said, he's punching up. Well, to the fan that maybe doesn't practice or doesn't understand what that means, does the power translate? When you're punching down, you would assume that you're coming down with more force, and so you're hitting your opponent, so that knockout power is there. When you're punching up, do you have that same knockout power? That's why it's interesting, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll say that, and just the fact of having to actually use a little bit more of your defense as well.
Yeah.
Just because that, like, kind of an odd statement, but like when we used to work with Aaron and I used to work with the cops, like pretty much everybody in that room was like 6'5" and above, and I don't know why. And that I'd gotten so used to fighting guys that were or sparring with guys that were 6 foot tall, 6'1", whatever. And to have somebody that was like my height or taller, like it was ridiculous. I was not used to that kind of having to actually use a little bit more of my defense.
Yeah.
It throws a big wrench into your system. When we box or we do MMA sparring and I spar guys that are shorter than me, I'm a little bit more relaxed because they have to come into me to engage. But when I go and spar Bruce, now this guy is coming at me and picking me apart from what is supposed to be my range. It throws your whole game plan off. You're like, okay, well, now what do I do?
And you take something, you look at Wilder, he can lean back, he can step back on that back leg a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's going to give him, this is where I get conflicted, man, because he can lean back, it's going to pull his head back, maybe get him in that comfortable range he feels, but he fights someone who's longer, just a little bit taller.
Right.
That 2-3 inches could equal a knockout.
Right.
Especially stepping back and leaving that chin exposed.
Right. And that's funny you say that because I'm going to get to it in a little bit. I've got that on my cons list for Fury. Ooh. So, one thing I really liked that when I started going through the resume of Deontay Wilder was toughness. People don't realize this guy has been in a fight where he broke his hand and tore his bicep and still knocked somebody out. I mean, this guy is not going to go away easy. In that Ortiz fight, he got clipped. He was getting mauled. I think it was at the end of round 7. He looked like he was unconscious on his feet. Not only does he win the fight, he comes back and knocks the guy out. So this isn't somebody, once he gets hit, he's just going to go down. I mean, that could very well happen, but this is somebody who's got a lot of heart. He has the heart of a champion. I love his attitude. He wants the best.
And you can almost measure that too. I mean, adrenaline plays so much, that 2-3 rounds, even when you're sparring in here somewhere, adrenaline's only going to take you so far.
Right.
You get into those late rounds, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12 rounds like that. I mean, adrenaline's not carrying you at that point.
Yeah.
That's just hard.
Right. Just heart and cardio too for a big guy. Yeah. God, this guy's got cardio. It seems like his power doesn't ever go away. Like you would think if I can weather an early storm, if I can get over, 5-6 rounds with a big guy like that and he's throwing these power punches, by round 8 or 9, that power may not be there. He's knocked guys out round 10, round 9 all the time. It seems like that power doesn't go away because he's got that gas tank.
I think that, well, and again, not to switch to opponent, that's one of the things that'll play against Fury.
Sure.
You can fight everything but age,
Mm-hmm.
And Wilder is he's just such an athlete, I'm not saying that means I'm picking him.
Right.
I'm just saying that from an athletic point of view, it's daunting to see how big of a guy he is,
mm-hmm.
And to see how athletic he is at that. His confidence too. His confidence is insane.
Deontay?
Yeah. His confidence
for sure.
is crazy. He'll stand there in front of you and just stare you down, not say a word, then he'll knock you out.
What I really like about Deontay Wilder is in an age in boxing where, anybody that watched that Pacquiao fight and the Mayweather fight, that fight should have happened 5 or 6 years before that, for sure.
Right. Yeah, easy.
And there seems like there's always these examples where, the fight didn't happen, and there's always a controversy. This person's ducking this person, or this person's ducking this person. Deontay Wilder is ducking no one.
No one.
He wants to fight the best in the world. He believes he's better than everybody else. And it's refreshing in this time and age in boxing because you seemed like, not to name names, Anthony Joshua, but it seems like there's cherry picking that's going on. There's, in boxing, versus MMA. Like in MMA, you're going to get who the promoter throws at you, and they want the best fighting the best. Where in boxing is you have these build-up fights, or you have this, well, we can't fight that guy till the time's right mentality. And Deontay doesn't care anything about that. He wants to fight whoever claims that they're better than him on the planet, and he will get in the cage with, or a ring with them, no problem.
I think maybe now more so he's getting bigger name opponents. I think maybe there was a period where he was fighting just some journeymen,
for sure,
just some journeyman guys to maybe get him up there, in that anywhere between 10 to 20 round or 20 fight range, maybe a couple more. But he's definitely stepped up the game for who he's fighting.
Yep.
I mean, he's not ducking people. He's the one calling people out.
Right.
It's cool. I love it.
Yeah.
So, quick question on that: do you feel that the sport of boxing would maybe come up a little bit, and that would change a little bit if instead of several promotions doing their own promoting for their own guy, having an actual like league, so like UFC, they're picking their guys for what is best for their organization, right? So when you look at like Golden Boy, or you look at some of these other big name promoters, I mean, they're picking their best for whatever works best for them.
Right.
So you're
like having one overall governing body or league.
No,
what you're saying?
Yeah, one league basically, not one overall governing body. There's a couple of them out there. So
I have mixed feelings about. I'd be interested what your take is on that, Ian. But I have mixed feelings about this because I like it from the standpoint of, if it was that way, you'd care about numbers, and you're going to do the best numbers or buys when you have the best guys fighting the best guys, kind of like the UFC model today. They have the super fights and that thing. What I don't like about maybe the UFC model, we'll call it, is you don't have those cross promotional fights. So if you have a guy in another league, like the Bellator champ versus the UFC champ, everyone wants to see that, but it's never going to happen because you don't have these co-promoting type situations. You did just have the first ever trade, obviously, in MMA.
That's what I was just going to say. Is I think that's probably leaning into that fact more, maybe.
Yeah, I just don't. That's one thing I like about boxing, is that you can have these champ here from the champ here fight the champ here. So I like that aspect of I don't want to get rid of that, I guess is what I'm saying. I want cross promotions to be able to fight each other. I don't want it to just be one league where one league dominates and there's a champ over here and you can't fight that guy because he's not in your playground. I want the best to fight the best.
Well, I mean, I think ultimately that's why they created so many different belts. Everybody wanted their own, we have the best. No, we have the best.
Right.
No, we have the best. So then they created, well, here's his belt. Here's his belt.
Right.
And ultimately that's why now people have I've got 7 belts.
It's hard to keep track of now. It's almost
honestly,
too much. It's diluted.
It is. I think it maybe be cool if they could break those down, or they could have some of these. I guess for anybody who's not familiar, you look up the WBA, the IBA, the WBC, the WBO, the WBO. I mean, those are all different organizations that people can hold belts in.
They could be the champ of the world.
Right.
I'm the heavyweight champ of the world, but there's 7 of me.
Yes. So then you look at, well, which organization or which belt, I guess you could even call it league, which league is better. But it's gotten so diluted because there's so many champions that it's hard to see, well, we have 7, 8 different belts here. So, well, these 2 guys fought and they're the best over here, so this guy's the best. And, I mean, maybe in a dream situation, you have like I guess, quote unquote, knockout tournament.
Right.
Where guys can fight to see who is the best. But I think that would almost be next to impossible because each belt holds so much significant money with that, organization.
Yeah, correct.
League.
You're
so
saying goodbye to that money.
Yeah, you're going to be like, okay, well, I guess I wasn't the best.
Right.
So I think it'd be hard to see people fall. I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
the fans would want it, but the
see
promoters, I think it'd be a big decline in their pocketbook, and I don't think they'd be for it.
Which maybe brings it back full circle to now, where we're seeing this big heavyweight fight, where we're seeing a bunch of belts get brought together, and you're seeing, you're going to see one badass dude.
Yeah.
He is.
Who's the king?
Yeah. And I mean, there are a couple more belts that, they could solidify and bring together, but I think it's going to be really cool.
Right. So cons, what does Wilder have to avoid, or what traditionally have you seen from him that will get him into trouble here?
Oh,
There's a couple things.
Speak
I
from
think
my
of.
mind or from my heart.
Well,
I mean,
be honest.
As a
if you were coaching him,
traditionally, you look at his guard, his defense, and it's horrible. I mean, a lot of times he gets really squared up. He stands in almost like a Muay Thai stance where both your legs are parallel. And his hands
hips are
drop.
almost square.
Yeah. He keeps that really low, his hands low. But to his defense, I think that's his way of lulling people in.
Sure.
You know,
It's worked for him.
It has. It's hard to deny it hasn't worked for him. But I think he maybe gets a little too confident in his chin and return power. You see a lot. He'll take a shot or two to get in there with one of his big shots. And with somebody like Tyson, I think that is probably a bad idea.
Right. When somebody's 6'9",
Yeah.
257, yeah.
Overconfidence might be, it's hard to say his biggest downfall right now.
Is it a great
because
asset or is it a big flaw?
I guess that's where it could be a big flaw. But I think he's worked it well. I mean, he's undefeated.
Right.
You know,
It's hard to deny.
yeah.
Some things that I've seen out of him is he's not your most technical boxer, but he's gotten a lot better. You know, the knock on him has been that he doesn't have this technique. He's just this one punch power guy, but now he's setting that punch up and he's sneaking that punch in.
Yeah.
You know, he's throwing and throwing and feinting you. Boom. Then he's dropping that power shot. He's not just, throwing it with reckless abandon. I mean, he does just throw it out there, but now he's also setting it up. He's getting more technical, but definitely not the most technical boxer out there.
I think, they call boxing the sweet science. I think he's starting to set a lot of things up, which is really cool. He's seeing that maybe he wasn't as technical and other people feed off that. So he's using that not being technical as a way to set up maybe one or two technical shots.
Sure.
That are dropping people.
And I think, one thing he has to be worried about with Fury is those wild looping punches, because he rushes in on opponents. I've noticed, especially when he might think that his opponent is hurt.
Yeah.
I actually had that down as a strength and a flaw. The strength is as soon as you're hurt, he's getting you out of there, because when he smells that you're hurt, smells blood or whatever, blood in the water like a shark, he's coming at you. He's dropping bombs on you and he's not going to let you breathe. But he runs at you to do that. He runs at you with his hands down, throwing haymakers. And you could easily get caught with a punch doing that.
The thing is that we talked about earlier about him being so long, he can cover the entire ring in 3 strides.
Right.
And covering 2 of those strides right into a right hand or left hand. Once we get into Fury a little bit, I mean, we can talk more about it, but that's a rough dude to come rushing in at.
Correct. And I've seen him reach with his punches. Mm-hmm. He's off balance. When he throws that big right hand, it either lands and knocks somebody out or he's way off balance with it. And
he falls over him sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, he almost trips over his own feet. And so, I've learned firsthand, don't reach with your punches or you're going to get smacked. And so when you reach with your punch, for those of you maybe don't know, the technical aspect of it, number one, you're off balance. So if you get hit, you're going to get dropped. Number two, it's extremely hard to get that hand back to defend because you're so far out there and you can't get your stance back right away. And so you're reaching on a punch with it went from a guy who's 6'9", 257. That's a pretty damn good counter puncher as well. Yeah. It's just something that could get him in a lot of trouble.
I think a lot of his style of Deontay Wilder's style is being super aggressive, that overconfidence where he's reaching in, he's really throwing bombs. And that plays into a lot of Tyson Fury style. Tyson Fury is an extremely technical boxer.
Yep.
So, I mean, another example people might know of Floyd Mayweather a little better. You look at him with that shoulder roll, he's coming back. He's leaning back. He's drawing you in. He's letting you throw those big, wild shots. So I mean,
Floyd's never reaching on a punch ever. He's always technically sound. It's always, how do I get my defense back? How do I maintain my...
Yeah, Floyd's not exactly a knockout artist.
No. But so, probably the best technical boxer of his generation.
Easily.
Yeah. So, okay, Tyson Fury. So we talked about, what this fight means for Deontay Wilder, but for Tyson Fury. So he beat Vladimir Klitschko, who is easily recognized as the #1 heavyweight in the world amongst all the organizations. He had several of those organizational belts at the time. Tyson comes in as I believe, a very large underdog, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Beats him, and then never defends that title due to mental illness, has to step away. And for those of you that are going to watch this fight and maybe don't know the background on Tyson, I would do some research on this, because this is a really good story. Listen to some of this guy's story. He's been on Rogan recently. He's been on Showtime interview after interview. The way he explained it is, once he beat Klitschko, he felt that he had nothing left to do with his life, because he literally spent his life trying to accomplish that goal. This guy is a professional heavyweight boxer. As soon as he got done with that fight, drugs, alcohol, women, he ate and drank himself up to 400 plus pounds.
Yeah.
I mean,
huge.
If I don't know, Bruce, if you can find a picture before and after.
I'm just saying, David Machado and myself, that's going to be us when we're done. No, for sure. That's real story. That's going to happen to us. We're both going to be at least 400 pounds, maybe going to the WWE as a tag team. 800 pounds in this corner.
Let's find that's awesome. Let's find a picture of Fury, if you can, before and after, the weight gain. And hopefully you don't go as far as he did, though, because he actually became suicidal. He talked a lot about he got his Ferrari up to like 160 miles an hour and tried to crash it into a bridge embankment. He was literally trying to do drugs to the point where it would kill him.
Yeah, he was living, in every aspect that you can live a fast life.
Yeah.
He was living a fast life. He had zero cares in the world. And that maybe is what got him, to
look at that.
To the level he was. Whoa.
That's your athletic.
That's a big boy.
You know what's bad, though? That's me with my shirt off. That ain't bad. Yeah. Dude. Sorry.
You're not the heavyweight champ of the world, Bruce.
Dude. All right, fine.
Man.
But let me tell you, can we do a funny joke first?
Oh yeah, you go right ahead, man.
Dude, David Machado, one of the funniest things I've ever heard of that man is one of his buddies, or of one of his friends, I'll say. He's probably like close to 400 pounds. This guy, he like they were war wounds. He'd lift up his shirt and like you'd see a stretch mark and he'd be like, Krispy Kreme, 1998. And then move over here, Taco John, 6-pack and a pound right here.
Oh no.
Right here, 2009.
That's probably what Tyson does. But
That's ridiculous.
That's terrible. But getting back to Fury, what this fight means for him is redemption, and literally life redemption. He's back on the straight and narrow. He's clean and sober. To see him overcome all that, mental illness kills thousands of people every year. It takes and breaks families. To see him come back from that and do something like win against not just a bum opponent, but somebody like a Deontay Wilder would be
huge,
insane.
Yeah.
Not only for Tyson, but for the people that suffer from mental illness. What that would prove to them that they could overcome.
I think the whole Cinderella story of it's a really romantic story. Like, it's cool and everything, but from what this dude was to what he lost to what he could be at again. I shouldn't say what he could be at. The dude's already there. He's fighting on the biggest stage in the world, for the biggest title in, combat.
Lost
sports,
150
arguably.
pounds.
Yeah, 150 pounds, man.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
So on the mental illness trip, okay, so he wins this fight. What's to say that doesn't happen again? Because maybe this is his drug that he needs, is this validation.
I've thought a ton about that, Bruce. Like, it doesn't mean he doesn't go right back to it.
That's the thing, is maybe he, like, I hate to say it, but maybe you haven't changed. Maybe you just found a new drug that you're like, okay,
you're addicted to the hustle.
Sure.
Right, exactly, and then that's okay. You found a new hustle basically on this deal.
Yeah,
God
no.
damn, what a bunch of bummers.
Yeah, no. I've thought a lot about that. Because he even when his interview with Rogan was actually really good. He said, Rogan asked him that. He's like, well, what's next after this fight? And how do you know you're not gonna? He's like, I don't know. That I might. You never know. I might do that.
That's crazy.
Well, God, I can't remember who it was. Who was the Snoops? The University of Oklahoma football coach.
Of Oklahoma?
Yeah, when they won the national championship. He was basically
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, yes, that is exactly true. You know, he talked about it. They're like, okay, you know, what did you do directly after, what did you do directly after you won the national championship? You know, everything that you vied for the entire year and or your life. And he's just like, yeah, like I went home, had Taco Bell, and then that was pretty much my day. And that, you know, it's not saying that these are anything close to, you know, national championship in D1 football or a world championship in boxing. But like I won a world championship in jiu-jitsu for purple belt. And it's like nothing, like I thought everything was going to completely change for me. Absolutely nothing changed. Similar deal. I know I went out to eat like with zero friends at like a fast food place, and I almost hit a guy in a car because that's my usual. That's my everyday.
You know, I think
it.
Maybe what's crazy is people who haven't been around like the either combat sports world, boxing, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, you know, whatever, MMA, whatever the case may be, they might have these like big sensations about, oh my God, what do these guys do after they win? Honestly, barring most of the guys who are young and go like get wasted at a club or something like that, I got to assume most of them retired. Like,
yeah,
they go home and they get a really good meal and they just go to sleep. Or like some of the guys that are married, like probably just go hang out with their wife and kids.
It's probably not always cocaine and hookers,
right?
You know?
Right. Contrary to what HBO shows us.
But it's such a, like, it's weird because it's such a letdown where you're like, okay, like I hyped myself up for this, like day in, day out, every single day. And then, you know, now that thing, it's like Christmas coming, and then you get everything you want, and then you're like, well, what do I do now?
That was actually what interested me. That Tyson Fury was saying was he was depressed after he accomplished his biggest goal.
Sure.
This, you know, instead of like euphoria, it was depression.
You should never be able to attain your like final goal.
Right.
Which is crazy.
He had
because,
nothing to strive for.
Like at that time, like there was no bigger goal than Vladimir Klitschko.
Right.
You know, Vladimir Klitschko was. I mean, he was Dolph Lundgren from Rocky. You know, he was that big, you know, Russian that people saw, just huge, like a poster boy for what a heavyweight champ should be. And Tyson Fury beat him.
Right.
Like, what the hell do you do after that? You know.
And so, fast forward 2 years, he's laid off for 2 years, hasn't taken a fight. Takes two tune-up fights. And people will take what they want out of those fights. I mean, I see that. I watched them. They're not going to blow your socks off. You're going to be like, oh, my God, Tyson Fury's back. But I think he was being strategic. You know, I'm not in his head, so I don't know, and I'm not in his corner, so I don't know. But you're not going to go out there and take a ton of risk. Okay.
Right.
And you're not going to go out there and blow the frickin' doors off. You're going to go out there and say, do I have my rhythm? You know,
sure.
Do my shots land? Do I still know my combos? Do I feel fluid? So I
You know,
don't
I
know
think
what people
too- I
are
think-
expecting.
Even maybe after like the downfall, you could call it, of him. I mean, you know, it is what it is. He got busted. He got busted for dope. You know, he lost all of his titles. I think. Did they actually pull him, or did he forfeit him? I think he forfeited him, right?
So how that worked, how he explained it was, and we got to be careful this day and age, not dope as in steroids. I think it was cocaine.
Like, okay, we'll just say drugs.
Yeah, drugs. But
Yeah.
it wasn't like performance enhanced. Well,
Right.
depending on, I guess, your definition. But it was cocaine. I believe what happened was the commission that busted him, he refused to, I think he refused the test, something like that. So they ended up getting stripped. And then he was supposed to go to a court to present himself. And he was basically like, yeah, I don't even care anymore. You can take him.
Right.
And so he just didn't even defend himself. And then when he found out he wanted to come back, he had to go through the process of hiring a lawyer, going through
Right.
and basically he got everything dropped. And
like time frame,
reinstated.
this all happened when, like 2013, maybe?
I think 2015, because it was after he beat Klitschko. And so he's only been laid off 2 years. He beat Klitschko in
2016. So you beat Klitschko in 2015.
So then when he got stripped right after that, and then he went, because all the stuff when they dropped everything, or once it was all done, that was recently, like that was this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was like within, I think 2017, 2018,
Okay.
late 2017.
Because I just remember hearing all the social media buzz and like reading about him on
Tyson's
different news
back,
sites,
you know,
that he's
he's
back, like
getting his license
He's
back.
going to come do this and he's going to do that.
Yeah.
And then, I got to imagine promoters were like, We'll see. You know, let's give him. Hey, John, you ready to go? You know, and he fights.
Right.
You know, a couple tune-up fights, but
Right.
he's won them.
Yeah.
Percentage-wise, though, who's bigger, Prince Nassim Hamed or Tyson Fury post championship?
Ooh, I haven't seen Prince Hassim post.
You haven't?
No.
Oh my god!
For those of you that don't know, YouTube
Please hold.
Prince. He
Yes.
this is a dancing machine. Probably some of the funniest fighting you'll ever see, and some of the craziest
Super
highlight
flashy.
knockouts you'll ever see.
Shout out to Robel.
You don't know if it's a Fortnite dance video or a
Yeah,
boxing
right.
match.
He does do some weird stuff.
Yeah.
I think Robel was a big fan.
Oh, huge fan. I think I asked him that
Robel
on this
just
podcast,
felt that.
actually.
Oh,
Oh, damn,
boy.
Prince.
He's wearing those denim button-down
No,
shirts.
dude. I want to see
There
him
you
in those
go.
cheetah shorts in that size.
Right? Oh,
That's a face that says.
she does not look like she's accepting.
No, she was like, you used to be 6-pack, so ripped, and
Look at
now
him
you're
carrying
just.
a big bag of donuts or something.
It's like a chicken, like a fried chicken wrapped up in like a freezer
It's
bag.
a
or something.
ginormous chicken, if that's a chicken.
It's a turkey.
That's
Okay,
a turkey.
A turkey. That's what I was.
Might even be a turducken.
You don't know. Nobody knows.
Man,
Okay.
So we're saying him, right? For sure, Princess Theme.
I don't know.
what about
I don't know
Ricky,
how you.
Percentage-wise-
Ricky Hatton?
percentage-wise-
Ricky Hatton's another good one.
Ricky Fatton.
Yeah, Ricky Hatton. That's crazy when
Yeah.
he was talking about getting drunk right before.
All three of these guys would murder all of us. So
Oh,
we
yeah.
should
Yeah.
They'll never see this though, so that's okay.
Thanks, Ricky.
I did tag Tyson in this on Instagram, so we should be careful. He's probably a follower.
Oh my god.
Oh boy.
So bad.
Oh man.
That's
Ladies
Ricky.
and gentlemen, that's Ricky Hatton.
Show the people what he used to look like when he fought Floyd. This is a man who challenged
And we're not
for
we're not
Floyd's
talking
title.
about the big jacked up look. Oh boy,
Yeah.
there he is. Ricky
Oh,
Hatton.
no.
What happened?
That's what alcoholism does.
Ricky
Dude,
Hatton ate
the-
Ricky Hatton.
Honestly, the videos of him training with his first trainer that he had, where like as they were hitting pads, like his trainer would have a cigarette in his mouth just the
Yeah.
whole time. Like,
I remember watching when
so
he
good.
was it Pacquiao that knocked him out?
yeah.
Well, which one? I mean, many people.
Well,
knocked him
like
out.
his or was it Mayweather?
Floyd
Mayweather
knocked
did
him out
too.
in the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, Floyd.
And they had that HBO training show, like when they would like a 24/7 show, and they'd follow him around.
Yeah.
and like he'd leave practice for his world title fight against arguably the greatest boxer of our generation, and stop at the pub and have a 6-pack of beer and some cheese curds.
Didn't his parents own the pub though?
That might be it. That might be it. I remember the video. Of
That makes it better,
him going
Bruce.
to get beer and cheese curds.
I'm just saying that.
Do you advise that for people that fight under your umbrella? Like,
Well,
hey,
then he's a family man.
no
then, is
drinking, no fried food. But if your parents own a restaurant, then it's okay.
Tip your waitresses.
This is one of my favorite too. The Ricky Fatton thing, just the when he comes in with the big balloon suit. That's so good.
Oh boy, Ricky.
So anyway,
Yeah,
let's
back-
break down Mr. Tyson Fury. So pros, what do you like about him? What does he do well? What's he bringing to the table that's going to really be a problem for Deontay Wilder?
Tyson Fury, he's a legitimate boxer. Like he's not just like he's broke all this down. He's not a brawler or anything. Like he looks for brawlers.
Right.
You know, he's super technical. So it's fun to see his defensive game. He's so tall, so he's really able to pull back.
Right.
You know, he can throw a couple quick shots and get that big pull in and lull people in. You know, I think that'll play against Wilder a little bit. Something that's really cool about Tyson Fury is he changes stances all the time.
And
He
he's
goes-
good from either side.
Yeah, he's probably equally good as a southpaw than he is orthodox, and it's cool to see. I know people around here mess with it every once in a while, but rarely do you find somebody who's just as good southpaw as they are orthodox. I mean, there's a few of them, you know, and it's just really cool to see. I think he'll be able to lull Wilder in a bit. That's where it's going to become a game of heart.
That one's my favorite.
Okay. Oh, good Lord.
Bruce is still on it. Yeah, technique for sure. So, I mean, this is a classic boxer versus brawler
Yep.
matchup. You know, the Tyson Fury, 6'9", 250 plus, moves like a middleweight.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy moves like he's 185 pounds, 160 pounds. Light on his feet, footwork. He sets up punches by the way he moves you around the ring. He'll walk you into punches. He'll switch stances midway. He'll throw a combination, switch stances, throw another combination real quick. It's not where the classic, a guy his size, you think throw big looping punches, more of like how Deontay fights.
Yeah.
He's light on his feet, throws a ton of feints, feint, jab, feint, and he's setting you up for a big combination and trying to walk you into a punch versus
you watch
throwing
a lot
bombs
of those
at
too. You watch a lot of his highlights on YouTube or Google, whatever you want to watch it on, and he pulls people in with that. Like people know he's going to be technical and throw some bombs, right? So they're trying to time him, but he's always a step ahead with drawing people in. That's why those knockouts come. It's really cool.
Boxing IQ, I think, is huge for
sure.
Tyson. I think the biggest thing that jumps off the page and the most glaring difference, if the biggest difference and advantage for Deontay is the power, which I think it is, the biggest difference and advantage for Tyson is the boxing IQ, because he is going to understand what Deontay is bringing at him.
Sure.
Probably simultaneously while Deontay is doing it. He's going to be able to know, okay, this is coming next. Okay, he's trying to get me to do this. He's going to play that chess match way better than Deontay, in my opinion.
Which is really cool about this fight. I mean, this fight isn't this. We'll get there in a second, I guess. I don't see this fight going 12 rounds.
Right.
Just teasing it, just the whole time.
But
Slow teasing.
Both of them have so many contrasting features that someone's going to sleep, man.
Right. I think another big advantage, or another thing that Tyson does really well, is he uses his range well, just like Deontay. And you have to give the slight advantage, I think, in my opinion, to Tyson here, because he has a little bit of a longer range. Sure. And he's a little bit smarter with it. He knows how to use it just a little bit better. Deontay's good at it. I would say Tyson's great at it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. For your casual boxing fan, I suppose, I mean, this is one of those things when we talk about a pullback, all it is you put your weight on your back leg and you're leaning your head back a little ways, getting all that weight on your back leg, so your head pulls back a little more. You see a lot of that with Fury.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not from I'm getting beat up. It's from I'm pulling my weight back so I can throw it forward.
Right.
His
head movement's excellent.
Yeah.
I've got that. So now we'll get into kind of the cons, because I've got that both as a pro and a con.
Yeah.
Because one thing that Tyson does really well is he has his hands low and he moves his head a lot. So his head movement's supreme, and he usually will lean away from his opponent because he knows that his opponent can't get into his range without getting hurt, by Tyson, because he can throw back and he's got a longer reach. You don't want to play that game with your hands down, leaning back without protecting your face, with somebody who has almost as long as reach as you, with literally one hit knockout power.
So that kind of goes along the same lines we talked earlier about. Deontay Wilder reminds me a lot of Chuck Liddell, and I say that cautiously, given Chuck Liddell's last performance. But I say that because, like, when Chuck Liddell started, like the golden age of MMA, Chuck Liddell was those punches were coming from everywhere, all sorts of angles you just weren't used to, and he was just throwing them so quick that people didn't have time to recover from the last one before they got clipped by this one.
Right.
He got figured out.
Right.
Once he got figured out, I think
he didn't win another match.
I think he literally got knocked out every fight after that.
Yeah.
Because people figured out that these hands are coming from everywhere.
If I counter him and throw a bomb, his hands are down, his chin is wide open.
Yep. That step back, throw a big bomb. I think he got knocked out. That was Rashad Evans.
Mm-hmm. The first time.
Yeah, that was brutal. Just terrible.
I cried.
But that's kind of what happened. I think that, like Chuck Liddell, Deontay Wilder's in this. People are still trying to figure him out right now.
Yeah.
I think people are seeing all this different type of boxing. Shout out to Michael Venom Page too.
MVP.
You're gonna see him coming up. It's like a new. People are taking this different style of striking to boxing, and for now, like it's working out.
Right.
And it's working out for Wilder.
What's going against Fury in this fight? What does he have to avoid? What's going to be really a disadvantage for him in this fight?
My two biggest things would probably say he's an athlete, but he's not Deontay Wilder athlete.
Right.
Athleticism.
Right.
He doesn't move like him I said once before, you can fight everything but time. I mean,
And we're not talking about a guy who's that old.
he's not old, but he's getting older.
Wilder's older.
Is he really?
Yeah. But I think the damage has been done to Tyson with what he's done to abuse his body, and he walks around heavier, and he's put the mileage on a much heavier, not much heavier, but his frame is much different. You've got that athletic build of Deontay where Tyson carries, a big, heavy, large man's frame everywhere.
Yeah, a lot of mouth breathing.
A lot of mouth breathing. It just wears you out different over
Right.
time, I think. I don't think you're going to see Tyson be as successful for as long as Wilder.
I think the big thing, you start watching Fury's fights. As the rounds go on, his hands come down further and further, and I'm not just talking like from here to here. I mean, they're
Drop.
down. They're down
At his waist.
Yeah.
And then he relies on that head movement.
And what happens, in my opinion, those punches come from all angles. A ring is only so big with two big dudes. Mm-hmm. You're bound to get clocked.
So my two cons, if we're doing pros and cons, I said ring rust too. 2-year layoff.
Sure.
He had 2 tune-up fights. He did not fight Deontay Wilder in those tune-up fights. That's a whole different ball of wax. It's not even comparable. So you have somebody who hasn't fought championship-level competition in 2 years versus somebody who's literally going to defend his title for 8 times that has stepped up in competition every single time, and he's fought twice a year for how long? That's a big difference. And then hands low. He relies on his head movement too much. You cannot do that with someone that's Deontay's size and reach advantage. And one thing that Tyson does, not only does he rely on his head movement, he relies on his head movement when he's pinned up against the ropes and in the corner.
Yeah.
He tries to play that game where he wants you to attack him in the corner so that he can pivot step out, capture you in the corner, and then go to work on you. But that's a dangerous game to gamble. That's a huge gamble.
Especially
when you're
like
doing
we
that.
said with Deontay Wilder can cover a lot of space real quick.
Right.
He 3 steps forward, he's across the ring. That's 3 steps backward, he's across the ring too. So
Right.
I mean, if you get on the side of him, 1 step backward, he's out of your range.
Right. So I think those are going to be huge issues for Tyson Fury and things that obviously his coaches would be preparing him for and working on. Okay, we'll go official predictions, and I'll let Ian, then Bruce, and then I'll do my own. Ian, break it down for us. How does the fight go? Who wins and how?
I think it's going to start the first round. I think Wilder will come out, and he's going to try to look aggressive but be pretty cautious. I think Tyson Fury will maybe pick up a little steam, get moving around, and I think Wilder's going to play it cautiously at first, maybe a round, maybe 2 rounds, feel it out, and kind of maybe gain his second win while Fury loses his first. I think those hands low are going to play a big part, and some big, crazy wild shots, and then a big right hand right down the middle.
Going to end the fight?
I think it will. I would say round-wise, put me on the spot. Anything from the 5th round on, but definitely probably before the 9th.
Okay.
But Deontay Wilder.
Okay.
Right hand,
knockout
right down the middle. Yeah.
Okay. Bruce?
Deontay Wilder by decision, because I think Tyson Fury is going to be able to at least kind of go through it and keep his defense up most of the part. But I think it'll be definitely a close fight, but I think Deontay Wilder by decision.
I like that. I think I don't know that most people would pick Deontay in a decision. I think they would think that if
I just
Tyson...
think that Fury is going to be able to be at least defensive enough. I think it's going to be something that Deontay's not used to as far as, like you said, fighting a guy that's a little bit taller.
I like it.
That's stuff.
I like it. Okay. I told Ian like 3 different ways I thought this fight was going to go over the last
and
month.
now I'm curious.
And he stole my thunder a little bit, but I think that Tyson wins almost every round of this fight. I think he's up on the scorecard significantly when he gets knocked out.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get knocked out in probably the 8th round. I would say between 8 and 10. and I think fatigue's going to play a factor.
Sure.
The ring rust will play a factor here. I think the superior athlete that does not slow down will play a factor here. You're talking about, these are 2.5 minute rounds, I believe. 12 rounds. You're talking about damn near a 30-minute fight, something like that. 36 minutes. I think in 36 minutes.
3-minute round.
3 minutes? Right? Yeah. I think in 36 minutes, the odds of Deontay landing that power punch on somebody who has their hands low as much and as often as Tyson does, especially in those later rounds, I think it's just a matter of time before he walks Tyson into one of those punches. Now, so my official prediction, I'm going to say round 8, Deontay Wilder knockout, while Tyson is significantly ahead on the scorecard. I think he wins every round before that.
So it's unanimous betwixt the three of us. You heard it here first, right?
Betwixt. Yes, unanimous, Deontay. And shout out to my buddy Eric Guzman. He is a amateur silver glove boxer out of California. I was talking to him about this fight, and he had it going a similar way. And I talked to him about a month ago, and that's what he said. And I really went back and looked at the footage because I thought at first Tyson's just too good. I think
you and I talked about that too.
Yeah,
and I was pretty much in agreement. But the more you watch it, I think
what changed my mind was when I got to understand Deontay's attitude. That made a big difference. I got to know who he was as a man and as a fighter.
Right.
And he wasn't just this, I'm going to throw one punch and hope I knock everybody out guy. And when you see the improvement, significant improvement, over his last 10 fights, he's jumped up in competition and he's jumped up in technical ability. So he's getting better and better and better and better. I think if this fight happened 2 years ago, I would have I'd have to look at it completely different. I don't think if this layoff occurred, who the hell knows? I mean, it's a way different ball game at that point.
Even 2 years from now.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be totally different.
Yeah.
But I think right now it's
Deontay's time. And one thing I do want to say before we kind of end our breakdown of this is for the first time in a while, MMA, boxing, whatever, I always have I want this guy to win so bad.
right.
I have a lot of respect for both of these guys.
Yeah.
They're both good people, I think. They're both good humans. If you watch any of the Showtime stuff that they've put out there or any of the interviews that they've done, Deontay seems like a great dad, a great person. He's going and giving speeches at Alabama. He gives back to his community. Tyson, it seems like he's trying to pull his life together, trying to do the right thing, trying to get it figured out. I have a lot of respect for both these guys and what they've tried to accomplish and what they're doing. So whoever wins, I think I'll be happy. I just want to see a really good fight. But ultimately, I've got Deontay winning this.
You want to hear some predictions from the media and or boxers?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. For those that think Deontay Wilder is going to win, George Foreman, 2-time heavyweight champion. Riddick Bowe, 2-time heavyweight champion. Luis Ortiz,
who, by the way, Luis Ortiz, Deontay just knocked out his previous fight.
Yeah, so you kind of got to say
he better hope that Deontay
right.
Yeah.
David Hay, former 2-time division champion.
David Hay wasn't Tyson Fury was supposed to fight David Hay, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. And then I
do not know.
I want to say David Hay got hurt or injured or
I don't know.
Gerald Washington, heavyweight contender, also believes Wilder's going to win. Lost to Wilder. Lamont Brewster also thinks he's going to win. For those that think Tyson Fury are going to win, Mike Tyson, 2-time heavyweight champion. I don't know if you guys know him. Amir Khan, welterweight contender, also thinks that Tyson Fury is going to win. Those that are undecided, Anthony Joshua.
Imagine that.
Evander Holyfield says, I got no clue. Lennox Lewis, 3-time heavyweight champ.
Interesting, because he's a UK guy.
I was going to say, I figured he would have picked Tyson Fury.
Gary Cooney, heavyweight challenger, said he had no idea. Carl Froch said he had no idea. Probably too busy, hanging out with his wife. Attractive woman. Just saying. Chris Bird, former heavyweight title holder, also says, I don't know. And Abel Sanchez, trainer. No clue. Then there's a bunch of people weighing in. Riddick Bowe says Wilder by KO.
What about Chris Pratt? Did he put anything up? I really like Chris
What a
Pratt.
Star-Lord thing.
Right?
Wait, God, what are those called? The Pratties? No, there's like a thing for the Pratts. Like, I can't think of it.
Like
He's
Trekkies?
got like a
they're
groupie?
like the
deal?
fans of Chris Pratt. I can't think of what it is.
I want to be one.
I'll look up his official decision his official vote while you guys look.
Okay. Last thing, really quick, and then we're going to move on. Winner has to fight Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty much
Right?
unanimous. Yeah.
If Anthony Joshua turns this down, big damage to his legacy.
I think there's already been quite a bit of damage to his
I think so
legacy.
as well.
Anthony Joshua he's another heavyweight champion. He's like Under Armour's poster boy. Nike's like all the big sponsors poster boy. But I feel like he's ducked Anthony Wilder for a while.
Deontay, yeah.
Or Deontay Wilder for a while now.
Yeah, I think so
And
too. I think he knows
it's-
Deontay's got his number.
Yeah. So I think a heavyweight matchup between the winner of this fight and him kind of it's got to happen.
And I think if those two fight, you have to go Deontay if you've studied the history of how Deontay has tried to fight him, because it seems as if Anthony Joshua is scared of him. So I think that makes Deontay more confident, and I think that makes Anthony Joshua hesitant in a fight between those two. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, but that's got to be whoever wins this fight has to fight Anthony Joshua to kind of solidify this deal.
Has to.
We're going to get into a segment I like to call Rapid Fire. And basically, I'm going to ask you questions, Ian. You are going to answer them as quick as you can, just kind of top of your head. So,
By the way, sorry, I'm just sitting here.
Pratt.
Yeah, Chris Pratt and Nogueira just hugging it out. That's kind of weird. I don't know when two worlds collide.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You haven't
Chris
seen
Pratt's
that
all
yet?
about he's all about the MMA world.
He's
now.
in the jits scene.
I
and
mean,
he trains with
he is
Nogueira.
not in the jits scene. All right.
Yes, he is. He trains.
Here comes
I
another
realize he
full
trains.
podcast.
Okay,
Go,
I
rapid
agree.
fire.
He is not a world champion in jiu-jitsu. I apologize. I just meant
He's a
he's in the
galaxy
world.
champion.
He enjoys it.
You-
He trains in it.
You want to know something funny?
Yes.
His coach, my former coach, BJJ.
Nice.
Yeah. One Higan Machado.
Do we know the name of his fan club?
No, still haven't found that out yet.
Okay.
I'm still looking for his official on who's going to win this fight.
Okay. Rapid fire. Who's your favorite active boxer right now?
Favorite active boxer right now? Manny Pacquiao is out there. I mean, he's active, but he's getting old.
Right. This is
I-
hard because
I-
it's across
I-
any weight
I-
class.
I would probably have to say Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford is definitely he's kind of local, at Omaha. So
Okay.
yeah, I'll go with Bud Crawford.
Okay. Who is your all-time favorite boxer across any generation, active, retired?
Mike Tyson, hands down, always has been.
Okay. Best boxer of all time.
Ooh, Muhammad Ali. Either between him, I'd say Floyd Mayweather, but I'm going to get some haters with that one. Well, I'll officially Floyd Mayweather. I'll say Floyd Mayweather
Who
just
wins,
because of record.
Who wins in their prime, Tyson or Ali?
Ooh, Tyson.
Yeah, I think Tyson knocks him out. Offense or defense?
For boxing, defense. I like defense. I like to try to set people up. So defense.
All right, so that is it. So you're sticking with Mayweather, best all time?
Yeah, I mean, I shot it off. I had to.
Jordan ever tell you his Tyson story?
I feel like I had to have heard it. What?
No, so one time when Jordan was working for me in Vegas.
We're talking about Jordan Larson.
Jordan Larson in Vegas at a grappling tournament. Mike Tyson was there coaching his son, and he, like a schoolyard child, asked me, like, giddy, like, can I go so I can watch this? And, like, sure enough, I let him, and it's just Mike Tyson, yelling at his, like, probably 7 or 8 year old son at the time and grappling, like, come on, you can. Sorry, I can't do that.
Come on, you can do it,
There we
man.
go. There
Get
you
him.
go.
Get him. Come on now. Wrap his legs up.
Twist his arm.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to do it, but I can't.
No, I did not know
so
that.
I'm pretty sure that he talked to him for like a little bit. So.
I do know Larson agrees Tyson Tyson Ali, Tyson takes him. You know, even though I am wearing the Cassius Clay, got a shot. I mean, guy's an amazing boxer. How do you pick between him and Tyson? I do think Tyson. I think the power overwhelms him. I think the speed.
Tyson's so good. He was
angles.
So good at getting low and exploding that power forward.
Yeah.
I mean, again, just like any like.
I think he's faster
fighter,
than Ali.
People figured him out, you know, and that's just what happens. Like people study you. You're in the limelight long enough.
That's probably why you got to go. And I think I agree with you that Floyd's the best ever because nobody's figured him out. I mean,
and they just haven't. I know people hate on Floyd, and he's like so defensive, and he, you know, maybe runs away, just kind of picks shots. He's not a knockout artist.
If you appreciate boxing technique, though,
I mean, he's fighting all the highest level fighters, and you know, people. How many world champions have tried? Like they've studied him, just like anybody else studies a fight. They've tried, and nobody's
failed. Yeah, I mean, what I love about boxing is it's a chess match. It's It's more of a mental aspect than a physical aspect. If you really know what's going on inside that ring. And he's the best at it. I mean, he smarts every single person that they put in front of him. Guy's 50-0.
You look at that ridiculous Conor McGregor Floyd Mayweather fight.
I love that fight.
And I mean, people that I hear all the time. I shouldn't say I hear all the time. I heard for a while when everybody was like, "Oh, McGregor really did well. Like he was really hanging in there." And then you listen to the corner. You listen to Mayweather's corner. Like literally, you can YouTube it, but his corner through every round was telling him, "Okay, we're going to do this." And the 6th round, he's like, "All right, he's done chasing. Let's let him turn it up a little bit." And Floyd turned it up, and then, but what? The 8th round, he got knocked out. 9th round,
stopped, not knocked out, but TKO.
He did what he wanted to do.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But,
and I think even I like McGregor's breakdown of that because he said the reason Floyd's the best is he changed what he was doing. Like from an offensive defensive perspective, like 3 different times within the fight, I couldn't figure out what to do. Like that, I appreciated that analysis because like he's in there trying to fight him and he thinks he's got it figured out, and then Floyd does something completely different for a round, and then he completely changes it. He can do offense and defense. He can pick it up. He can slow it down. He can control the pace, control the range.
He's slowing down, Floyd.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Floyd needs to be done.
Yeah.
For sure. Because I don't want to see a blemish on that perfect record. I really don't.
I don't think anybody does. The old Benjamins.
Yeah.
That's all he's out for.
Yeah.
He wants the money.
And he spends it faster than he makes it. Don't get that twisted. He's a rich man, but he spends that money. So, okay. Did you find Pratt Fan Club? No. Okay. Well, if you know, hit us up. I'm on Instagram. Ian, they can do classes with you. We do classes at Next Edge.
Yeah.
We've got you're the coach Tuesdays and Saturdays, 5:30 and 11 or 11:30 on Saturdays.
11.
11 o'clock on Saturdays, 5:30 on Tuesdays. Stop in at Next Edge.
Get a hold of us. We do individual stuff too.
Yep, we do individual stuff as far as individual lessons. You know, if you want to start and you don't want to start in a big group. Ian offers individual coaching as well as Bruce. So get a hold of these guys. It's an amazing sport. Really changes your outlook on a lot of things, I think. Get a hold of us. Come into Next Edge. Stop in. Ask about classes. That's all the time we got. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Bruce, thanks. Cory, thanks.